Instant match reaction, Huddersfield Town 1, Everton 2 at the John Smith Stadium. Rafa Benitez at Everton's side cruise into the next round of the Carabao Cup. No, I'm only joking. We made that one difficult for ourselves, didn't we? Not a very good performance whatsoever. Look, you know, we're in the hat for the next round. Obviously, we've progressed in the cup, which is ultimately what we wanted, and ultimately all that we could ask for was a win tonight. Would have liked for it to have been a little bit easier. Would have liked us to have played a little bit better. It wasn't a great performance whatsoever, was it? We made it really, really difficult for ourselves. Constant defensive errors, not being able to keep a hold of the ball, not being able to deal with Huddersfield Town's press, gifting the ball away far too easily, not being able to play simple passes. It just wasn't a very good performance whatsoever, was it? And before I talk about the performance specifically, because there was a lot of mistakes that Everton made in the game and there's no excuses for the way in which we played. Look, we got the win and that's all that matters. As I said, I'm not going to be too negative because, you know, at the end of the day, we're in the half of the next round. Obviously, Rafa Benitez made a lot of changes in the game. So, you know, there's a lot of players they're playing today that haven't played a minute of football so far this season. Even a couple of players that barely featured in pre-season as well. So, again, you know, look at the bright side, the positives. You know, we rested a lot of players today, a lot of first team players that'll feature on Saturday against Brighton, and we got ourselves into the next round of the cup, even if it was difficult to do so. But one thing I do want to say is that could arguably be one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen, you know, witnessed in an Everton game. How Moise Keane's goal is disallowed is absolutely beyond me. He is about 3.5 miles onside, and it's blatant to see on all of the replays. It was an absolutely fantastic finish by Moise Keane, and I'm really not sure how it was disallowed. And then the sending off, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the video, but the sending off for me is utterly atrocious. It's never a sending off whatsoever. Yes, he reacts, and maybe he shouldn't react, and maybe he's a little bit silly in doing that, but he gets a clear push in the back. He turns around and he gives the player a little bit of a nudge, and then he gets sent off for it. It was a dreadful refereeing display. But let's be honest, you know, the referee wasn't to blame for how poorly Everton played today. We were very, very poor. Certainly defensively, I thought we started the game well. First 10 or 15 minutes, we were coming forward and we were really creating chances. Like I said, Andros Townsend was picking the ball up, Alex Iwobi picking the ball up. Moise Keane looked really, really lively. Even given his sending off, I actually think Moise Keane had a relatively good game. I know he'll probably get a lot of stick and a lot of, you know, a lot of negativity from Evertonians because of that sending off, but I actually thought he'd done well. Certainly in that first 15-20 minutes, he was coming, he was picking the ball up, you know, he was holding the ball well, he was passing it off. He had a couple of opportunities, obviously one where he took the ball off the Huddersfield midfielder who gifted the ball to him. He got, you know, on the edge of the box, he takes a shot, it's just wide. Another one, again, where he's played in on that left-hand side by Niles Nkunku, and he gets on the end of a shot, and again, it's saved by the goalkeeper. Really good save, actually, when you see it in the replay. So he was involved, he was getting in the game, he was working hard. You could see he was, you know, he was desperate for a goal. He was desperate to get involved in the score sheet. And like I said, Everton were really, really attacking down the wings in the opening first 10 or 15 minutes. But there were situations in which Huddersfield were, you know, they were threatening us and they were getting down, you know, again, like I said, and putting pressure on our defence. Obviously, Rafa Benitez made a lot of changes in this game, 8 changes. Jean-Philippe Gbamin come in for his first Everton start for over 470 days, I believe. We had a completely new backline with Asmir Begovic starting in goal, Jared Branthwaite, Michael Keane and Mason Holgate making up a defensive three, with John Joe Kenny at right wing back and Niles Nkunku at left wing back. You had Tom Davies partnering Jean-Philippe Gbamin in the midfield with obviously Alex Iwobi in front of them, and then you had Andros Townsend and Moise Keane as sort of a front pair, and I think sort of Alex Iwobi was part of that front three as well. So again, you know, Everton started with what people would probably say was a defensive formation, but given the wing backs and how high, you know, you typically play wing backs, it was more of an attacking formation with Niles Nkunku getting down that left hand side and playing balls in, and I think the idea was for John Joe Kenny to do the same on the right, even though we didn't really do it. But we come under a lot of pressure in that first sort of 15-20 minutes by Huddersfield, and again, there was scares, there was constant scares, and defensively we looked really, really shaky throughout the entire game, and it's worrying really because 2 of the 3 centre halves who played today were, you know, 2 of the 4 centre halves that we're likely to see throughout the course of the Premier League season. Okay, we can spare Jared Branthwaite a little bit of criticism. He's still very young, and we're unlikely to see him in the Premier League at any point this season. Of course, he's probably 5th choice. But Michael Keane, there's arguments that Michael Keane is 2nd, 3rd choice centre-half, and again, making mistakes that are leading to goals. Mason Holgate at times today was caught out of possession or was completely barged off the ball, couldn't show his strength, couldn't show his ability as a centre-half. So that was really worrying. But anyway, Everton do break the deadlock. Firstly, really, really nice bit of play. Tom Davies picks the ball up in the midfield, gets forward, drives forward, plays an excellent pass into Alex Iwobi, who's found himself with some space in the box. And Alex Iwobi, to be fair, plays a really, really lovely weighted shot into the corner of the net, and Everton go 1-0 up. And then very shortly after that, again, Moise Keane breaks this time. Good ballings by Iwobi this time, good pass through. Moise Keane is, as I said before, about 452 mile onside. Gets one-on-one with the goalkeeper, blasts it past the goalkeeper, 2-0 up, again, plain sailing. I think the Huddersfield heads would have dropped at that point, but the flag goes up, and like I said, it's given offside. Obviously, no VAR in the early rounds of the Carabao Cup, and obviously no decent officials either, because I honestly just don't know how it was given as offside. I really, really don't. It was a shocking decision. But then from that point on, like I said, Everton was still trying to get forward, still trying to threaten. Tom Davies had dinked the ball into the box, to which Niles Nkunku met and absolutely blasted it over the bar. We had a couple of half chances. Jean-Philippe Gabon played a nice ball in. I think Moise Keane just couldn't sort his feet out and get the shot away. So we were still a threat, but Huddersfield were coming forward as well. And as I said before, Huddersfield were pressing Everton really, really high and coming at us with pace, and we just couldn't seem to deal with that. The defence had a real difficult first 45 minutes dealing with that Huddersfield, counter-attack and dealing with that Huddersfield press, and that was quite worrying really, because, again, no disrespect to Huddersfield, obviously they're a decent Championship side and a side that, I'm sure will do well in the Championship this season, but we had, like I said, 2 out of the 3 centre-halves are centre-halves that we'll likely see multiple times throughout the course of the Premier League season, and they really, really struggle to deal with, a Championship midfield and forward line. I thought our midfield at times was poor, and at times Tom Davies looked absolutely brilliant. The assist for Alex Iwobi's goal is a fantastic assist. Jean-Philippe Gabon, again, I thought looked wasteful at times, certainly in the second half. In the first half, I thought he started well. He was bringing the ball forward. He was winning the ball in midfield, but he made a couple of really, really silly mistakes during the game as well, gifting the ball away. I think he got caught a couple of times, just completely daydreaming in the Huddersfield midfield, got behind him and ended up nicking the ball, and it caused a counter-attack. And again, just little situations that you can't afford, little mistakes that you can't afford to be making in the Premier League. You'll get away with it in games like tonight, and we barely got away with it tonight. Huddersfield, of course, had a second goal in the back of the net at 1-1, which was disallowed for offside. I think the forward was impeding Asmir Begovic's vision, but again, on another day with another referee, that mightn't have been given as offside. So we got quite lucky as well, and like I said, when you're giving silly mistakes away like that, you just can't afford it. And look, Jean-Philippe Gabon obviously hasn't featured so far this season, played a lot in pre-season, but it was his first competitive start for over 470 days. So again, we'll cut him a little bit of slack, but I just think he made a couple of mistakes tonight that you'd maybe look at and go, you can't afford to be making them. You can afford to be making them against a Huddersfield side who, again, very nearly made us pay for them. If Jean-Philippe Gabon's making them against your Chelseas, your Man United, your Arsenals, even your Leeds Uniteds and Southampton who have played already, I just don't think we can afford that. But like I said, Everton go 1-0 up, should be 2-0 up, and from that point on, Huddersfield really pushed for that equaliser and caused Everton a lot of issues. There was a couple of times that the ball come into the box, Asmir Begovic was forced into making a save. He then patted the ball straight back to the attacker who blasted it over the bar, luckily for Everton. And then just before half-time, corner comes in, Mason Holgate gets caught underneath it, and Michael Keane just gets caught looking at the attacker and going, do you reckon he'll jump for that header and put the ball in the back of the net? And oh look, what happened? He jumps for the ball and he puts the ball in the back of the net. Completely free. By the time Michael Keane's clocked onto the fact that he's a danger, the ball's already in the back of the net. Mason, like I said, gets caught underneath the ball. I don't really know who. It's very easy to point the blame at Michael Keane and say Michael Keane's to blame, but I actually think Mason should probably be a little bit better in that situation as well. But once again, regardless of whether it's Mason or Michael Keane, the pair of them as a partnership have failed to defend a basic ball into the box once again. How easy is that goal to defend? All you have to do is mark the tallest player on the pitch, who was Lees, who ended up putting the ball in the back of the net anyway. and ensure that any ball that comes in, you defend. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that if Yerry Mina's on that pitch tonight, that goal doesn't go in, because Yerry Mina just gets attacked straight to the ball and it gets put out, and that's it. You know, it's not even a situation. But obviously, as I said, silly defending causes, you know, the ball to go into the back of the net. And then we go in at half time and you're sort of thinking, right, something needs to change here. Come out in the second half. No changes made by Rafa Benitez in terms of personnel. And yeah, we just looked all over the place, didn't we? Let's be honest, we looked all over the place. Moise Keane picks up a red card earlier in the second half, which is silly to say the least. For me, it's never a red card. Absolutely never a red card. Yes, he reacts, and yes, you could say, oh, we shouldn't be reacting. It's this, that's the other. It's never a red card for me. From what I've seen anyway, from the replays I've seen, he literally just barges him. There might be another replay that comes out and he raises his hand or whatever, and then we might be changing our mind. From the replays I've seen, there's nothing in it whatsoever. And if you're going to send Moise Keane off, you've got to send the other player off as well. But the referee doesn't. He decides to just send Moise Keane off. And then all of a sudden, Everton then are really, really under the cosh. We've got 10 men. We're already struggling to put up with, you know, to deal with Huddersfield's press and Huddersfield's high tempo. We've now got to do it with 10 men. And then obviously as the game progresses again, like I said, balls into the box are really, really starting to affect Everton. We're making stupid mistakes. We're not being able to pass the ball 5 or 10 yards. We're losing the ball in stupid areas as well. Losing possession, daydreaming. Huddersfield are coming forward constantly, getting forward, trying to create opportunities. Asmir Begovic is forced into making a couple of decent saves as well. Rafa Benitez makes a couple of changes. He brings Luca Dean on. He also brings on, obviously, we saw the introduction of Damari Gray a little bit later on in the game as well. Andre Gomez come on. And I think all three substitutions, to be fair, changed the game, to be honest with you. I think Damari Gray and Luca Dean showed the defence up, you know, no doubt. Niles Nkunku was okay today. He got forward, he played a couple of really good balls in. Defensively, we know his limitations. He's still very young, he's still got a lot to learn. But Luca Dean really, really showed that defensive line-up. Damari Gray brought a bit of intensity, a bit of pace. I think he brought a bit of fear to the Huddersfield town defence, running at them with pace, getting in behind, showing his energy, showing his ability. And then Andre Gomez just brought that little bit of composure and coolness on the ball, and we saw that with ultimately the winning goal from Andros Townsend. But like I said, as soon as we went down to 10 men, you could see that we were really, really struggling. Then we were really struggling, and it got to the point where it was a little bit pathetic, wasn't it? Really, let's be honest, it was. You know, we all come into this game thinking, right, strong team. You know, Rafa Benitez said yesterday or earlier on today that he was going to play a really, really strong team, and, you know, we want to go for the cup and we want to win it. And look, he made 8 changes, which a lot of people weren't happy with, and, you know, at this point, rightly so. But let's be honest, the side that he put out there, you know, look at the performance, look at the players today that didn't perform particularly well. Michael Keane, Mason Holgate, they should be more than good enough to, you know, to play against a championship side. Andros Townsend didn't have a particularly great game. He should be more than good enough to play against the championship side. Moise Keane done okay, but you would have liked a little bit more of him. And maybe you would have got a little bit more if he wasn't sent off. I'm not going to sit here and have a go at Moise Keane too much, because I think it's a dreadful decision personally. So we still had players on that pitch that were more than good enough to comfortably win this game of football. But again, I don't think we were prepared for Huddersfield to turn up and just get at us, throw themselves at us, throw themselves into every challenge and give it 150%. We just didn't look like we wanted to match that battle. We really, really didn't. Thankfully, obviously, like I said, Rafa Benitez makes 3 changes and Luca Dean ends up combining with Alex Iwobi. Alex Iwobi plays a good ball into Andre Gomez. Andre Gomez gets along the left-hand side, plays a good ball across to Andros Townsend, who scores his first Everton goal and what is ultimately the winning goal for Everton this evening. And yeah, we can all now sit here and say, phew, thank the heavens for that. I think one big positive we can take out of this game is that, again, it wasn't ideal that we had to rely on the likes of Luca Dean and Damari Gray, because the likelihood is those 2 players will start on Saturday. But one big positive is that Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a rest, Richarlison had a rest, obviously Abdoulaye Doucouré, Alan both rested, Jordan Pickford got a rest, Yerry Mina got a rest as well, Seamus Coleman. So there's a lot of players that never featured today and weren't even involved in the matchday squad that were able to you know, have an even and off, and will now be, you know, a lot fitter come Saturday. But it wasn't the greatest game of football whatsoever, and it certainly wasn't the greatest performance by Everton. To say we have gotten through by the skin of our teeth is probably an accurate statement, to be fair. Again, I think the sending off massively hindered us as it would, you know, when you go down to 10 men against already a fast side who are causing you issues. It was never a sending off, in my opinion. But ultimately, look, we got the win. We got through. We're in the air for the next round, and that's all that matters. That is all that matters at the end of the day. I'm not going to sit here and say we were unbelievable, we defended brilliantly, because we didn't. And the biggest worry for me is the drop-off in quality in this Everton squad. We seriously can't afford for any first-team players to pick up injuries this season, because the drop-off in quality is scary. It is absolutely scary. But we won the game. We won the game, and that's all that matters. 2 wins and 1 draw out of Rafa Benitez's first 3 competitive games in charge of Everton Football Club. Wasn't the prettiest game of football, but all that matters at the end of the day is the result. Let's just hope we don't go and get Man City in the next round now, because that'd just be what we didn't need. And what also we didn't need was penalties. I was made up, and Josh Townsend buried it in the last couple of minutes, because I don't think I could have stood sitting watching. I don't think I could have been able to stand sitting and watching penalties for another 10-15 minutes. So yeah, there you go. Look, not the greatest performance. Worrying signs, but like I said, a lot of players there that haven't featured much this season, haven't had much of a pre-season, and again, there was a lot of first teamers that were rested tonight, and will now be a lot fitter come Saturday. So yeah, take the positives, take what you can get. We're in the next round, we're in the that's all that matters at the end of the day. Big thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this one, please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Play ratings will be up very shortly, so don't forget to look out for that one. Massive thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.